fans, to another round of boxing. You guys already know the drill. I ask you to give me the thumbs up and the subscribe button because I stay very involved in the sport of boxing and I work very hard to make these videos come to you once a week and the editing of them. Well, today that has never been more true. So certainly new subscriptions would be much appreciated. Usually we tell you to tell a family member, a friend, or even a crazy ex-girlfriend. As long as they enjoy combat sports, I'm sure they'd love this show. Let's jump right in. We have a fantastic fight coming up this Saturday when Gervonta Tank Davis takes on Hector Luis Garcia. And that's right, the other Garcia, not Ryan Garcia, Hector Luis Garcia. And let's start this off with throwing some respect on that man's name. Hector Garcia is absolutely nobody's tune-up fight. He has come off of back-to-back wins over Chris Colbert and Roger Gutierrez to become a world champion, as much as world champion means in this generation when we have 17 belts per weight class. But this should be a good fight nonetheless. I'm picking Gervonta Davis to win, and let's start here. It's because Hector Luis Garcia does not move his head. And this is what happens when you don't move your head and you don't put that glove up with the opposite hand you're not throwing with. Don't hook with a hooker is the old boxing term. And if we're going to use that term, then Gervonta Davis is a real slut. The other problem with Hector Garcia is he gets caught coming in. And boom. If that looks familiar, that's because that's what Gervonta Tank Davis does best. He is a counterpuncher through and through. He's not just fast and strong. He is very good with either hooks, uppercuts. This is how he KO'd Leo Santa Cruz, Rolly Romero. Now, sometimes he's a little bit too comfortable hanging out with his back on the ropes, or he'll even sometimes walk himself back to the corner. But yeah, this is a problem. He knows how to deal with headhunters, though. He angles off real well, slips shots. He'll go to the body, and that's the other thing here, right? Hector Luis Garcia is a bit of a headhunter. So I see a lot of body work coming from Gervonta Davis in this fight. I think that Hector will get caught even if he does win some rounds. And the only thing that should really make you nervous is that whole bit of Tank kind of always does this, whether he's a little bit tired. He's usually not hurt, to be fair, but whether he's a little tired or it's just to strategically, wear his other opponent out, whatever is in his mindset, he hangs out with his back against the ropes or in a corner and just holding that high guard up a little too much. And when he does it, it's a little too long as well. So you don't want to see him doing that too long against the ropes or too much with Hector Luis Garcia, because the guy can thump. But you know what? Here's the other thing that I would mention as well about this fight is although you're seeing, if you've seen, the weigh-ins and the face-offs and whatnot, you'll notice the height disparity, right, between the two. How Hector Luis Garcia is, a lot taller than Gervonta Davis. If you didn't know this, Gervonta Davis actually has a reach advantage. Only half an inch, but for a guy that's a lot shorter, that didn't translate into the reach here. We're still going to have a reach advantage for Tank Davis, and that will help him a lot. Tank's very comfortable going backwards, and one of the reasons that is, whether we can sit here and break this thing down, say holds his high guard up too much, or he'll hang out with his back against the ropes too much, it's because he's had success doing this. Look at the Leo Santa Cruz fight. He did that there and let him kind of tag him just sitting there with the high guard waiting till he throw another straight to slip and rip. He's a slip and rip kind of guy, and he does it very well. His boxing IQ, Gervonta Davis, that is very underrated as far as I'm concerned. People who know that are in the know in boxing, they know this, but most people don't. And casual fans is thrown around a lot, but I would go a step further than that as well and say that, you could be more than a casual and still maybe just think, Gervonta Davis, because sometimes he'll lose rounds to people, or he'll sit there, and just wait to he'll just KO someone with one real strong shot, and people call him Mini Mike Tyson, or at least they used to, Mini Mike. You might think he's just powerful. He's very powerful, and don't let him find that one shot on you. But that's very cliche because he sets up his work very well. For one, besides when he's walking himself back into corners and sitting with his back on the ropes, his ring management is decent, besides that. But his boxing IQ is very high, the way he sets up traps. He sets traps very well, and he makes reads on his opponents very well. And these are actually the reasons why Gervonta Davis, gets KOs. Or the Barrios fight with a much bigger man at 140 who was doing decent in that fight up until he got KO'd. Leo Santa Cruz doing very well, winning a lot of rounds against Gervonta Davis with some speed advantage there. And Leo Santa Cruz, no slouch, a great boxer as well. This is yet another thing, as I mentioned these. And then the Pitbull Cruz, Isaac Cruz fight. That went all the way, and there you go. It was a really great fight in a war, but that went all the way, and Tank got a decision there as well. So this brings up my next point about how people kind of shit on Gervonta Davis's record a lot of times. This is a very well-known thing that floods YouTube and the internet, is people shitting on his record. First off, in this day and age, there ain't a lot of fighters that have got to put together, so many back-to-back great wins against A-class fighters. So if he's fighting B guys, these are really good B guys, right? And he's not taking steps backwards either. So these are all good fights. These are great wins. Jose Pedraza, Leo Santa Cruz, Mario Barrios, Isa Cruz, Pitbull Cruz, and then Rolly Romero. These are fantastic wins. This is what you're looking at with the guy on his way up. And unfortunately, here he is taking another, dangerous fight. This is not an easy fight. And this will be another good win if he gets it here. But people just gonna kind of hate on him. Meanwhile, I'm telling you, this ain't a tune-up fight, not at all. But meanwhile, people still will think that way, while Ryan Garcia is not taking any fight. Whether that be he needs a lot of time in his mind. I'm not here to talk shit, to prepare for a guy in a big fight, and he thinks that's the right path to it. I'm not a guy who says boxers are scared at all, but it'd be good advice as well if somebody told them, hey, don't take chances. We're getting a lot of underdog wins coming out of boxing lately, and don't take chances to lose this epic fight. But Gervonta Davis still going through with this fight. For all you guys waiting for me to touch on the out-of-the-ring stuff with him, we don't really do that here on this podcast. This is a boxing podcast, so we talk about the upcoming fights. We give our picks. We do some breakdown stuff. We keep it inside the ring. I don't really need to know if he's a good guy. That holds no sway one way or the other as far as how good of a boxer he is or being a fan of him as a boxer. I don't know him as a person. So I think it's odd sometimes when a lot of these YouTube channels make their claims, whether they're fans of his or not. It's just, they always have guys, whether it's a Spence Crawford thing where they just make up channels to sit there and just give an opinion on not only on a fighter for boxing, but really just giving opinions on how good of a human being the person is or not, or trying to make that relevant as far as if you appreciate the boxing pedigree involved with the fighter. It's strange to me, but we don't really do that here on this show. That was my spiel for Gervonta Davis. That is why I'm picking him over Hector Garcia. Also, this card is pretty good. You're going to get Jaron Boots Ennis, the absolute up-and-coming phenom in boxing that everybody loves. You're going to get him on the undercard, and also a return of Demetrius Andrade, and that's not a bad card for boxing. I will say that. So we're going to watch the fight. I hope you watch the fight, and I hope that you enjoy it as well. So if you wanted to put together a very safe parlay, what you might do is Gervonta Davis to win by TKO without picking around, and then Demetrius Andrade to win as a part of a parlay, and also Jerron Boots Ennis by TKO. That should bring you up to decent money. Not a lot, but that is a very safe bet. And that's the bet that we're going to ride with for this weekend. So until next time, enjoy those fights, and you know the drill. Stay loyal, fight fans.